Hi, everyone. I'm Rejoice on Umatta Consulting Podcast. If today's your first time on our show, please make sure you subscribe to all of our social media channels, especially Spotify. Today, we have the special privilege of speaking with Ellie. Ellie is the principal and CEO of Catalyze, Cultivate Consulting. I would love for her to also introduce herself, and we'll dive right into the questions.
Wonderful. I'm so happy to be here today. Um, Full name is Illyasha, but most people refer to me as Illy. And last name is Pete. I have been working in nonprofits and with governmental sectors and large businesses for an extended period of time. I really believe that equity and justice is should be at the center of how we lead.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Illyasha. I love your name, by the way. Where is it from?
So it's really funny. My parents were doing their postgraduate studies at UMass, and they were living in an apartment building with some African people. And
Oh,
Ilyasha was one of the names that they gave. And so Ilyasha is my first name, and then Kenyatta is my middle name. I was named after Kenya.
wow. I did not know that. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing. That's amazing story for your name as well, Illyasha.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful name. I've actually not heard it before, so I'm honored to have met you and heard your name. Our first
Your
question.
name is unusual too. I like your name too.
Thank you so much. Yes, rejoice. It's so I don't know, especially for this time of the year, the holidays,
It's
Christmas.
it's perfect.
Yes, yes. So our first question for you, you talk about glass ceiling and fragile grounds a lot in your presentations, in your books and so forth. When did you first realize you were standing for both or you want to stand for both ideas?
So I think it's an interesting story, and it starts earlier than you would want it to.
Mm,
For me, it's right on the tennis court where I had earned my place, but my belonging was conditional. I had done the work. I mean, I was disciplined. I
mhm,
was winning. I had good results. Yet when I checked in to one of my first, it's probably my second or third tournament, I was met with looks like, "Are you in the right place? Do
mhm,
you belong?" And I learned right there that even when you earn your place,
mhm,
it's not always met with joy and happiness from others.
mhm.
And I think this is a lesson that we as Black women, Black people, people of color, we carry this knowledge that people don't see us as belonging there.
Right.
And it can shatter you. And at that point, I was probably 15. And
Wow.
I was playing the number 1 seed. I talk about it in my book, Glass Ceilings, Fragile Ground.
Yes.
I was playing the number 1 seed, so I wasn't supposed to win.
Wow.
And for those of you that understand tennis, I had won the first set. 5 I was up 5-1 or yeah, 5-1, 40 love. I was 1 point from winning, and then
Wow.
she started hurling insults.
Wow.
And she said some really terrible names that I won't repeat, but ones that we're familiar with. And earlier in the match, all the lines people kept hovering around the court. When she started to act up, no one intervened.
Wow.
They let her act that way and say the things that she was saying without stepping in.
Mhm.
And my mom, unfortunately, was with my sister because she had a tournament at the exact same time. And so it left me navigating this horrible experience as a young person alone.
Right.
And I'll never forget an African man who was actually the woman's coach
Wow.
asked me to follow him to the car when we split sets to
Mhm.
try to calm me down and be a champion for me.
Mhm.
And that was really my first experience of knowing I'm good enough to be here and you still don't want to opened the doors and let me in.
Wow. Such a powerful story at 15. Very young, teenage years. It's just so crucial to figure out who you are and belonging on top of it. It's very interesting story that you shared, and I can see why you feel the way you feel and wanting to write about it. So thank you for sharing your story. And I like the fact that you talked about bystanders too. People just
Mhm.
watching and not intervening at all, thinking it's the norm, or why should they
We're
say
not
anything?
concerned.
Right.
Yeah, and as a child growing up in a Black community, if I had acted that way,
Right.
I wouldn't have been able to go home. Possible. I knew how I was supposed to show up, and the
Right.
fact that there were so many adults, children, lines people, tournament desk officials, all of which didn't look like me. No one stepped in except for the African man, and he stepped in away from everyone else. He didn't do it in the moment either.
Right.
And to be
Right.
that young, fighting so many things all at the same time was quite traumatic, but it taught me to be able to stand on my own 2 feet no matter what the circumstance. So while it was horrible,
Hmm.
it built who I am today.
Amazing. And it actually leads to my next question I have for you, which is, who or what gave you the courage to make the right call when the stakes are so high? Who do you lean on for that strength?
So I think it's funny, um, but it goes back to my community, the people I grew
Mm,
up with, my
mm,
parents, my mom and my dad, my grandparents that taught me how to be a good person, how to
mm,
treat people with honor and dignity, respect, and my church family that helped me understand that even if we don't believe the same thing, I can't judge
right,
you for that,
right.
right? Um, I'll give you a story that I also talk about in the book that really points to this making the right call. Is I was down to the last 2 people interviewing for a CEO position at an organization that had been led
Wow.
by a white woman for many, 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 many years.
Okay.
The 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 process had gone really well.
Okay.
I was to the very last q yeah, I finished the very last question, and my job at that time was to ask a couple questions back.
Right.
And in interviewing, I really like to show people who I am.
Yes.
And so the last question that I asked went something like this: "I'm so thrilled with all of the work you're doing to
Hmm.
honor and serve communities of color.
Okay.
Your commitment to hire a person of color, for this position is inspiring and to
Mm.
so many of us. The question I have is that the current CEO is making, I don't know, 30, 40% more than you have listed on the JD. How
Wow.
do you think the community that you serve is going to feel about that drastic difference?"
Hmm.
Well, I didn't get the job. What I did do is when they hired the person of color, she got percentages higher than the white woman that was in the job at that time. So while I didn't get the job,
Mm.
I feel like it was the right call because that helped someone else move up the ladder. And that's what we
Yes.
all have to do for one
Right.
another. Sometimes we don't reap the benefits of making the right call, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
But it's still the right thing to do at the right time, and
Right.
eventually someone will benefit from it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I love that you use your personal example to illustrate how speaking up, asking questions, bringing or shedding light into a situation challenges the status quo. and could ultimately change a decision or decision maker's mind on something. I like that. Even
Well,
though you did not get the actual role that you wanted.
and it's funny, I kind of go with the line helping leaders make the right call,
Right.
30% less grind, 30% more ROI, because I was a basketball official for 25 years.
Wow.
And, that whistle was in my hand many, many, many times. And I was tasked with
Yes.
making the right call when things are challenging.
Mhm.
And so I use those same principles
Hmm.
in working with leaders.
I like that. You're sort of a lifetime coach. You
I'm a
never took
life
it off.
I never took it off, and it's funny what I hear from people as they read the book is that they love the stories and they see themselves in them, and I think that's what makes this book stand out amongst so many other leadership books.
Yes, it's authentic. I
Mhm.
love that. Let's get into your leadership style a little bit, which you hinted as you're speaking. What leadership lesson did you learn the hard way, but it changed everything for how you lead today?
So this is an ongoing lesson,
Okay.
but what I will say is that I learned the art of quiet power sometimes.
Hmm.
Some people might call it strategic leadership or strategic power.
Yes.
And I'm going to give you an example of what that means to me.
Okay.
I was working or listening to a client that had several arms of the organization that she managed.
Okay.
And she was a Black woman
Okay.
who was in a room of
Yeah.
all women. Every time she had to call in to that meeting, she said she would get a pit in her stomach and she would feel uncomfortable, but she did what she had to do and she would call in. On one occasion, there was a white gentleman who did not want to honor her position, her title, her knowledge, her experience, her lived experience, her education, and had an EA translating what he would say. You could hear him in the background. He would say what he wanted to say, then the EA would say it, and then they would respond. That's how it was going. And so finally, he again started hurling comments at the Black leader, one of which started with the N. And he said how he felt like he didn't belong and whatever he said. The quiet power, the strategic power that she showed was not responding to the obvious insults, but to respond a little bit differently. And I'm going to tell you what she said. She said, I want to apologize to you because I sign on to this call every Monday and I have a pit in my stomach and I feel like I don't belong. And I would never want to put anybody in that same place. And my apologies to you if you have ever felt that way. And I would love to figure out how we can make it better. That's quiet power. Sometimes burning the house down is not the answer. Mary Poppins used to say, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Sometimes the medicine goes down with a little sugar, but it still works. And that is the way sometimes we have to lead, and we have to lead differently than what our gut, what our experiences, what our past tells us. I think it requires that we be more brave and more transformational, realizing that leadership doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes that those quiet, subtle ways and voices can help to shift an entire culture.
Exactly. Exactly. I love that. It's not passive, but it's effective. It definitely
Exactly.
right. It communicates. And
Mhm.
I wonder, for leaders from historically excluded groups, the path upward often includes invisible pressures. Um, what pressure did you feel most, and how did you navigate it?
So I'm going to start by saying, growing up, I'm going to start a sentence and I'm going to ask you to finish it. I think you're going to know it. If you
Okay.
want something done right,
And do it yourself.
okay, that is I'm going to call it what it is. That's a lie that we were told.
All right.
The
Right.
pressure that I feel most is wearing the cape,
Right.
having to fix everything, the
Mm-hmm.
emotional labor, the coming in early, staying late, doing projects that aren't going to help us move up in the organization
Mm-hmm.
while still delivering at the highest level
Mm-hmm.
at home and at work.
Right.
The
It
cape
takes
is
a toll on you.
and that's why Black women specifically end up with health problems,
Yes.
high blood pressure, cancer,
Mm-hmm.
um, and the list goes on and on. And so for me, releasing that cape helped me sustain myself
Yes.
and not always feel like I was required to sacrifice. There is a book called Rest is Resistance. It's an amazing book and it speaks to what I'm talking about. And a lot of what she shares is also part of that is in my book and some of the chapters.
Yes.
Uh, I'm no longer going to be a martyr.
Yes.
I'm going to show up in my whole self.
Yes.
And I want to be more liberatory in how I do my work and how I encourage others to do the same.
I love that.
Mhm.
I love that for you. I love that for us. I love that for every Black woman out there. We don't have to do it all.
You don't
um,
have to do it all.
no.
And I think as we get older, we have experience, uh, we have knowledge, we have so many tools, so many more tools, so that we don't
Right.
have to do some of the things that we did when we were younger.
Yes.
I mean, and the new
Or feel
generation
guilty.
or feel guilty. That's the thing. I I share with leaders all the time. You can say no with absolutely
Mhm.
no guilt. And when you learn to do that, you are taking care of yourself
Yes.
and you're
Take a
creating
sick day,
boundaries. Yes,
wellness day, mental health day.
a
It's
wine day.
important.
I'm joking. We're close to Napa, so every once in a while, you gotta.
Exactly. 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 I love that. And to be honest with you, when you are emotionally healthy and when you also feel liberated to take care of yourself, you can produce better versus
Yep. And
fighting all the time, in systems and systematic environments that sort of constantly bring you down. It's just not healthy at all.
well, and then the other thing that is if you do choose to lean in and step forward, you can pick and choose those moments. It doesn't have to be a consistent 24/7 job.
Exactly.
It can
Exactly.
be something that you pick and choose and realize this is really important to me, so I'm going to go to battle for this.
Right.
Or I'm going to open the door so that someone else can or support someone that is
Right.
in battle themselves.
Exactly. Exactly. That's so meaningful. You say meaningful change doesn't happen in one time season. What does real sustainable cultural transformation actually look like for you?
So I believe so many people do work where they go in and they do one session
Mm,
and they imply that change can happen.
mm,
I'm not one that believes in that.
okay.
A lot of the work that I do, I go into organizations, I do a zero session with the leaders or the people that I'm going to be working with.
Okay.
They help me determine what the
Mm,
curriculum is going to look like, what the pace is
mm,
going to look at like, and all the things necessary we co-created. And
Okay.
last year I did a program that met on Monday nights from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Wow.
For 7 or 8 months. We had 100% participation. And that was because we were talking
Wow.
about things that they wanted to talk about. And I knew because they told me. And
Yes.
when you create and build workshops, sessions,
Right.
coaching, when you co-create it's better and people are more engaged.
I
And
agree.
you're able to pivot if you get to a point in the session and feel like, you know what, you want some more of that? Because we can recalibrate and add more of that here. Or I see that you've moved past this. Instead of doing session 5 on this, should we change it? And if we do, what does it look like?
Yes.
So many of us live in the same systems and habits
Hmm.
that we're currently engaged in.
Right.
My goal is to demonstrate or model the way on how to do it differently and, in my opinion, more effectively.
I like that. I like the collaboration of co-creating, essentially getting feedback versus, entering an organization and assuming what you know, what you don't know. It definitely allows communication for both ways. And I think that makes you an effective leader and consultant.
Mhm.
And your work speaks for itself. And also, your book definitely highlights that. I want to also dive into your work with organizations, specifically like Stanford healthcare, from what I've seen online. What patterns do you see the most often block inclusive leadership?
So, I'm not going to speak specifically to organizations. What I'm going to share is my own experiences and the experiences of the leaders and the boards that I work with. I
Okay.
think the thing that gives me a little bit a bigger viewpoint is the fact that all of the stuff that I'm sharing
Yes.
isn't just coming from my own experience. It's coming from my experiences and the
Mm,
experiences of the people that I support in this work. What I'm
exactly.
seeing is that most resistance comes from organizations and the people they bring in not being in alignment. You've got
Mm,
organizations and leaders, they both care, they both want things to change, they both want
yes.
repair, but it looks
Right.
different for folks.
Right.
And
Right.
so much of the time is focused on leaders from historically excluded populations or radically excluded populations
Right.
doing more education, more mentorship, more. I push back again.
Coaching.
And I do work with organizations to help them understand how to step in the gap, how to bridge the gap in understanding
Mhm.
by preparing themselves for someone new. Over and over
Right.
again, you hear people go into organizations, yeah, we want to change. What they don't say is we want to change as long as it doesn't interrupt the systems that are currently in place,
Right.
which, in my opinion, means do you
Right.
really want to change? I would say no.
No. Everything should stay the same.
Yeah. And so
Definitely.
the struggle is helping organizations, helping leaders close the gap between what they say and how they really truly show up.
Mm,
I've had clients, clients that their organizations preach self-care, self-care, self-care. But when they get ready to take vacation, it isn't approved because they find a reason why it's not. And then at the end of the
mm.
year, they're asking, why do you take your vacation time? Part of what I do, helping leaders push back against that and
Mhm.
helping them and the organizations figure out a common middle ground.
Exactly.
Did that
Exactly.
answer your
I
question?
like that. Oh, definitely. You definitely answered the question. And we're going to also even pivot towards accountability on leadership as well, since we're going a little bit deeper. What does leadership accountability look like when it goes beyond checking the boxes of committees and all these things that organizations tend to create?
So I've already alluded to it a little bit earlier, but it's co-creation and bravery.
Right.
It's to recognize the harm
Right.
and then be willing to fix it. I'm going to give
Mm,
you an example. Uh, had a client that was facilitating a workshop, and I'm just going to say all heck broke loose. We'll just put it that way. And there was battling back and forth, if you will, during this meeting. And
mm,
at one point, one of the leaders simply said, one of our community agreements was to work stuff out. Let's
wow.
model that by working it out in community. Yes, you made a mistake. Yes, I'm willing to forgive you. Let's move
Mm,
forward, but let's repair it in the space where it happened so that
okay.
everybody can see how we are modeling the way
Right.
of shifting our leadership. So again, for me, I see accountability as being co-creation and
Okay.
bravery to do it differently.
Mm,
I'm going to be the new president of AFP, Association of Fundraising Professionals, Silicon Valley.
wow.
This,
Congrats.
thank you. And this year, with all of the funding challenges,
Yes. Yes.
with people in the community losing services left and right,
Yes.
we're going to have to show up differently.
Yes.
Our approach this year is going to be more community based. When we
Okay.
spend dollars, we're going to spend it in the communities that support us.
Yes.
We're going to reach out to leaders that might not have felt like they have a seat at the table.
Right.
And so we're changing as an organization what accountability
Right.
will mean to us and how we're going to show up differently. And
Hmm.
so, being willing to step into the unknown and do it differently is clutch.
It is. It is, especially with all of the other things you listed economically that
Yeah.
are on the backbone of decision making. And
Yeah.
just, but I like the fact that you focus on people and impact and those who
Yes.
need it the most.
Yes.
Sometimes gets neglected in some decisions. So I like that you're focusing your efforts in that area.
And you bring up a good point. We are going to do a lot of listening this year
Mm,
because the people closest to the work, the people that we're serving need to tell us what they require in
right,
order to feel like membership with
right,
AFP Silicon Valley will be valuable.
exactly.
And we are committed to doing that, and we're committing to rework things if needed to bridge the gap.
Right.
Um,
Which is definitely doable.
yeah,
Definitely doable.
yeah.
I have a question for you, Lily Ash. How can leaders stay grounded when they are the only one? I know we haven't talked about this yet, or one of the few in a room. How do they stay grounded? What are some tips or suggestions you can offer us?
So this is discussed in the book quite a bit as well. I would say community.
Mm,
That's how you do it. And not only the community of family or the people that you work with or whatever, you have to have community outside your typical community.
yes.
Mm, I have groups of women, groups of men, groups of people that I gather with
Mm,
because as I have different situations or struggles or whatever the case may be, they are there to help
yes.
lead me through it because that's their area of expertise. The same thing for them. When they need something that's outside of their normal area of expertise, they come to me. And in doing this, you create relationships where you can be candid and not have to code switch.
Right.
It makes it possible for you to show up as your full self, your full work
Yes.
self is what I like to say, and still feel like you belong
Yes.
added information that makes you so much better.
Yes.
When you're the only one, when
Mhm.
you're the few, it's hard to believe you are meant to be there.
Yes.
And when you have community around you reminding you that you are, when you have community around you that gives you their confidence when you don't
Yeah.
have your own, that's how you overcome that.
Amazing. I know we've been diving into your book, and I'm so touched and inspired by a lot of your words that you're using today. Particularly, you mentioned community. You always need people around you, especially if you're going to be in a place where or in an office or a corporation where you're the only one or one of the few in the office. Uh, we want to get some, I guess, personal highlight from you. What is a story from your book that still gives you a little bit of a goosebumps here or there that you want to highlight? Or even if you want to give the audience a teaser into why they should purchase your book and dive a little bit more into the work you're doing.
What I'll say is this book was written for people from historically excluded populations, period.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I talk about people that have been justice involved, people that are women, people that are people of color, uh, those with disabilities, and the
Yeah.
list goes on and on. And my goal in the book was to pull from stories from
Yeah.
lots of different places
Yeah.
so that people can see themselves in the book as they maneuver. The other
Mm.
advantage to this book is at the end of most chapters, there's a section for you to do your own work. And you can evaluate where you
Wow.
are, determine how to improve, and that's how you shift your leadership style. I've
Yes.
been told by a couple people they've gone through their book, they've done the activities, and then they did it 6 months later while keeping their answers, and it showed them the growth that they have had.
Mm.
The tennis story is always one that I keep top of mind, but the other story, other leadership, my own leadership story is stepping into an organization where the team had
Mhm.
been there since the beginning.
Wow.
So 15,
Yes.
20 years. Team had been there.
Yes.
They offered one of the team members the job. The team member did not want the job. So they had
Mhm.
to go outside. They found me.
Mhm.
I had experience. I had education. I had lived experience. I had all the things. But there was one person, the one that they tried to get to take the job, she had the commitment of the team behind her.
Mm. Yes.
We didn't
Yes.
like each
It
other at all. I'm
happens.
just gonna say it out front. We didn't like each other. I didn't like her. She didn't like me. It just was what it was. We were professional, but we didn't like each other.
Yeah.
So so but she was excellent at her job, period. She was
Yes.
excellent at her job. So there was a time when one of the senior level people wanted to demean or discredit her work, and she was part of my team. And so I
Mhm.
stepped in the gap, and I was like, "No, no, no, not today." Because
Right.
one thing I know about this person is that she does X, Y, and Z all the time. Her work is stellar.
Right.
Please don't go there with me.
Right.
And stepping in that way, she then appreciated the fact
Right.
of how I was leading. We came together, we started making shifts together, and we're still friends today.
Wow.
And that doesn't happen often, but when we open ourselves up to doors that might open, when we use our community that we
Right.
talked about earlier, so
Right.
that it helps us
Mhm.
see opportunities to repair,
Yes.
create relationships. We see it
Mhm.
clearly and we can walk through those doors.
Right. I love how, initially based on the circumstances, the relationship a little bit, but also being grounded in who you are as a leader, and resolving a situation rebuilt a relationship that was probably not going the right direction. I
Mhm.
love that for the organization, for you, and as a lesson also that not all relationships that sort of start off a little bit with hiccups should stay that way. Some can be
Mm.
repaired. And I love
Yes.
that you keep reusing that word over and over: repair, repair, and rebuild. Such a powerful tool to take away. Lily
Yeah.
Ash, it's been an honor to speak with you today. I really enjoyed your perspective, why you wrote the book you wrote, and also the insights that you have to offer based on your experience. So thank you so much. Do you have any last minute words? If any of our listeners would like to follow up with you and see the amazing work you're doing, or even purchase your book, how should they contact you, or where would they find your book?
LinkedIn is the best place to find me. I'm at Catalyze and cultivateconsulting.com. And then my name is Illyasha Peete. There are not many of those on LinkedIn, so it should be really easy to find. It's spelled Illyasha, and the last name is Peete. I would encourage you to take time for yourself this year and
Mm.
prepare yourself for the leader you want to be, the
Mm.
changes you want to make. I have opportunities and cohorts that are starting regularly, and I
Wow.
invite you to not only purchase the book, but tell me what you thought about it. Leave that on that review
Yes.
on yeah, on Amazon. I thank so
Loved it.
much for your time, and I'm gonna actually ask you something right now.
Sure, let's do it.
I think I'm gonna do a LinkedIn Live soon. I might want you to participate in it.
Of course. It would be my honor to join you.
Wonderful. It's been a
Let's
blast. Thanks so much for your time and being willing to
do.
hear my story. It means so
Of
much.
of course. Such an inspiring story. And I have gained so much insights from you. And I love everything you have to share. And I'm sure everyone listening would also be extremely happy of what you have said so far and would get the book at Amazon.com. Thank
Mhm.
you and take care, guys. It's been honored and a wonderful day. We'll talk.